Welcome to my channel. I'm Russell Thomas, and if you've been here before, you know that I was doing a 28-day challenge to see if I could stay part of the YouTube Partnership Program. Now I have a link below for the full video, but to summarize it, I basically was told I had 28 days to stay in the program, and I only had a few subscribers and I only had a few hours of watch time. Well, I took that on as a challenge to see what I could do and to see if I could maintain it. Well, life got in the way. I took on a short film, I had to work, I had all sorts of things just kind of get in the way. But this time, I want to do it again for all those who subscribed, because I was able to raise my subscriber base by more than double, up to 46, and my watch time over 12 hours, where I had been only a few hours before. Now I know that doesn't sound like much, and I know that making this 28-day challenge is not going to get me monetized, but it's a fun experiment. And I feel like I owe it to those who paid attention, who went ahead and subscribed to the channel to go ahead and do this. So join me for take 2 of the 28-day challenge. Last time I blindly launched into the challenge and fell short. So this time I thought I'd consult someone who's had a bit more success. My friend Pam has a successful channel called Pammy Plus Park, and she has a great community around her that supports her. So she agreed to have a quick conversation with me and explain some of her best tips. So let's watch.
Hi everybody, welcome. I have Pam here, who's a good friend of mine and has a very successful YouTube channel called Pammy Plus Park. Pam, welcome into the channel.
Well, thank you for having me today. I hope I have some great tips to share with everyone.
I am sure that you do. I'm really excited about having you on and hearing about all of your experiences. So Pam, tell us a little bit about your channel before we dive in too far, and a little bit of what it's about and how you got started.
Okay, well, I was kind of like in a point in my life where I was looking for something, some kind of side project, some extra creative stuff that I could do. I worked in TV as a producer, but there wasn't enough creativity in it. And I happened to stumble upon a Facebook group that was specifically for people who are larger people plus size people, who needed help and information navigating around theme parks. And I'm an annual pass holder for Walt Disney World and had been for about a decade. And I had visited the resorts maybe at that point, maybe 300 or 400 times. So I felt like I had the information these folks needed. And so I set about starting a channel where I could give my tips and maybe even film the rides and what they were like and share those with the people in this Facebook group. And I started the YouTube channel as just a place to save them. It wasn't even meant to be a channel, but lots of other people started to tune in, and the channel kind of overtook what I was doing with the Facebook group where I was helping there. And so I concentrated on the channel.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been to the channel. It's some fun content. I think it's valuable for the people in your niche and for people who just everyday people. So. And by the way, if anyone's interested through the whole presentation, I actually have a link below in the description to go to Pam's site. And so you can go ahead, check out her YouTube page, see what it's all about. And you can actually see kind of her journey. If you watch some of her first videos to where she's at now, how far she's come. So Pam, one of the things that we're doing is we have a 28-day challenge going on right now where I'm trying to see what you really can do with a YouTube page over 28 days. And one of the things I know is to make consistent content. So I know that much. What would you recommend? Because your page is now monetized, you're able to do a lot of different things with it. What would you recommend to the audience on where to start?
Okay, if you're gonna start, and I think everyone should have a YouTube channel because it's marvelous. It's a lot of work, but you really need to do a little bit of planning. And pardon me if you see me glance down, I've made some notes here on some of the things that you can do, some of the tips that I have for you. There are some basics. I mean, one of the things a lot of people think they need to have before they start filming is like a lot of very expensive cameras and lighting and external microphones and special tripods and all this equipment. I started my channel with a cell phone, and it was like one of those, I think the phone cost like $50, and it was terrible. But if you look at my first videos, you see I managed to master it. I didn't buy an editing suite or anything like that. I just edited it on my cell phone and posted it that way. And I did a very decent job. Maybe the quality of the visuals and the audio weren't so hot. There were no graphics or anything like that or sound effects. But the content was key. I had really well-researched information that I was sharing and some decent visuals. And I think that's what you really want to concentrate on, is planning what you're going to film, where you're going to film it, and kind of thinking about how you want to edit it together and the story that you want to tell. Kind of figure out what type of equipment you ultimately want to get, and do a lot of research to figure out you're getting the best deal. You don't need to spend a ton of money to get decent quality items, and you can even buy some things refurbished.
And I really like that, because really anyone can start from any place. It's basically better to just start than not to start. But when you do start, you were talking to me earlier about the planning and how you kind of like think about that and your process. So as we're going to do over the next 28 days, I'm going to implement some of these tips that we're going to hear in a few seconds into the channel over the next 28 days and see how they actually help us increase.
That's awesome. I think anything you can do along those lines, even if you've already started your channel, this information that we're sharing today can help you. There might be some things that you can tweak and change. One of the things you might not be able to tweak or change, but maybe you can because you're still early on in your channel, is the name of your channel. And I'm going to share with you a big mistake that I made with my channel. I started off covering Walt Disney World, and I thought, well, what if someday I can do Universal and I can do Busch Gardens and SeaWorld, or even theme parks around the country and the world? What if I'm able to do that? I don't want to have the Walt Disney World name incorporated into the name of my channel, and I don't want to have any copyright issues, and I want to leave myself open to cover any theme park or even a state park. So I created the name Pammy Plus Parks, because it's me, Pammie, plus size stuff and parks of different kinds. What I didn't realize is that as the channel grew, I would also be covering fashion and beauty and food, and eventually covering reviews of products and of films and books, and you name it. I'm just going to be covering a lot of different stuff. So as the channel grew and the content grew, because people asked me to make these videos, the name Pammy Plus Parks doesn't totally apply to the channel anymore, because I cover so many different subjects. So keep that in mind. If you can, try to have a name that's going to grow with you. And even if you have already chosen a name for your channel and you're using it currently, if you have less than a couple thousand subscribers, go ahead and make that tweak to your name of your channel.
That's a good idea, honestly, because that's something I'm looking at too. Right now, I believe it's under my name, and I think we need to do something a little bit more that kind of references back to what the channel really is going to be about. Of course, those who are watching, the 28-day challenge really is going to kind of take us through what we, in an evolution, and I think at that point, we'll maybe look at rebranding, but I don't expect to be getting 1 million viewers in 28 days. I'm keeping my expectations limited,
Yeah, I don't have 1 million viewers after 3 years.
But you never know, who knows? But so we talked a little bit about how you plan too for each episode. Can you take me through that? Maybe not even that. Maybe a little about the channel, how you plan is kind of, and then maybe how you go to your episode and kind of take that down to the next level.
I think it might be helpful for people who are getting started with this to see what my transformation has been. When I first started, I was just working on Walt Disney World parks. So those 4 theme parks that are at Walt Disney World and the rides that were there. And so all I would do is just have a list of rides and I would tick them off one by one and do videos for them. And it was that simple. But then as I got more requests from people of topics to cover inside the parks, they wanted to see what transportation was like, what the hotels were like, information about food and food allergies and stuff like that. So I really had to start thinking about what I was going to do. Plus, I actually at the time was living about 2 hours away from the theme parks. So I had a 4-hour round trip drive, and I could really only film for about 6 to 8 hours during the day. So it was too much work for me to drive back and forth and just do one video. So this is something everyone can do. Try to do multiple videos. While I would go into the park, I would shoot anywhere from 4 to 6 videos, usually 2 or 3 ride videos, a couple of food reviews, and some other news and information. Plus I would shoot B-roll and still photos that could be used in other videos in Instagram and Twitter. I would probably plan out anywhere from 2 to 6 months in advance when I was going to visit the parks and what I would film there, and try to make sure that when I was filming rides and attractions and restaurants that were all in a similar area, so I wasn't running back and forth all over the park. So I tried to plan more efficiently that way. And I think that's something anyone can do. Don't forget to take as much B-roll as you can to be used in the video you're creating, and to have sitting in your back pocket for any future projects you may have.
That makes complete sense. That's one of the things we lacked in the first round of the 28 days was enough planning, as we kind of took on more than we could shoot. But we are looking at some of that tip and incorporating it this time, and I think that's a great one. So that talks a little bit about planning and prepping. You talked a little bit about burnout too. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. Burnout is something I never thought I would have. And here's the thing, when you take something that you love, and I'm assuming that most people are making videos about a topic that they love or is close to their heart, your project that you're working on, because you're taking all this time to film it, and then you review your footage, and then you do your first draft and second and third draft edits, and then you post it and you review it. You're so entrenched in all of this topic that you can actually burn out on the topic itself. Not to mention the fact that if you're posting regularly like you should be, you're gonna get to the point where you're gonna want to take a vacation. And if you don't have several videos edited and sitting in your back pocket, like waiting to be posted, you're gonna have to hurry up and make like 2 or 3 extra videos or more to cover you while you're on vacation. And then oftentimes when you do take your vacation, you're spending it researching and planning and getting ready for your next group of videos. So you never really get to rest. You actually get mental and physical burnout as well. You really need to, there's really no way to avoid it. You are going to get burned out. Even the wealthiest, best people with a staff of people helping them create their videos get burnout. And you need to plan for it, be ready for it, and have some, they may not know what evergreen video topics are. Do you want to tell them a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Like in TV talk, evergreen means something that it can last or go up at any point. A topic that could be like if you had a car channel, maybe it's on best tips of how to change your oil. That could be done at any time of the year because it's always something that's going to be needed to be done. Or for another instance, like let's say you had a beauty channel and you were talking about makeup, you could give it like a pretty standard, what type of brush works for you. Something that's evergreen, it's always going to live. It's not going to be seasonal. What we mean by seasonal is, let's say you focus on, we're going to the parks at Halloween because we know that the parks at Halloween, they do something very special. So it's kind of that, if you're taking a look at that. And so what Pam's kind of referring to is, make sure you have a few things in the can. That's why I think you were saying earlier, you go to the park and you were shooting a couple of different rides. So then like you were consistently putting out one maybe on Space Mountain, and then the next maybe on the teacups, and then the next maybe on something else. And it was a nice load of things. So you could take, and I think what helps with that, what makes sense for me is like you could take your time and edit them. You have one done the way you want, and then you've got some time to do the next. That way you don't feel like you've got to get this rush and get it out right away. And so you can focus on the quality too.
Right. That's an important part of burnout as well. And in planning in general is if you have the opportunity to film multiple videos at one time and maybe spend 4, 5, 6 hours and knock out 6 videos or 4 videos, then you don't have to film every single week or even every single day. I personally know of people who put out daily videos and they only film 2 or 3 days out of the week. So they're not filming 7 days a week, even though they're posting 7 days a week. They're only posting a couple of times or filming a couple of times a week. And they spend the rest of the time doing quality edits. And also they, work on collaborations and brand promotion and other stuff like that. When you reach that level where you have, hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, that's what you need to concentrate on. You can't be filming every day. And some ideas for evergreen topics too, like having that in your back pocket so you can take a vacation or you can be sick for a few days. Instead of doing a movie review for a movie that just came out, do a video about your favorite top 10 movies of all time. So that can be used anytime. Try not to make things linked up to a holiday or a time period or a topic, a political topic that just happened. Maybe you'll do a video about your favorite president and why, that sort of thing that you can post at any time, no matter what time of year.
Oh, I think that's great advice. And one of the things I think is really good is being patient, knowing that it's not gonna take off in a day.
And patient we must be, because Pam is coming up with the second episode later this week, and she tells us how long it took to get her monetized. So if you like this, please like and subscribe and watch for more.